Right now, almost everyone watching the Florida housing market is staring at the wrong city. Type Florida housing into any search bar, and the story that comes back is about Miami. The glass towers, the foreign money, the luxury condos. And on the surface, it makes sense, because Zillow's numbers do show the typical Florida home slipping to $392,443, down 3% over the past year. So the country has decided Florida is falling, and it has quietly decided that the falling must be happening in Miami. Here is the problem. It is not. The steepest price drops in the entire state, and some of the steepest in the entire country, are happening on the exact opposite coast, in towns most of the people panicking about Miami could not find on a map. While the cameras point east at the skyline, the real correction is unfolding on the Gulf, in mid-priced towns full of ordinary retirees and families who bought near the top and are now watching the value drain out of their homes month after month. That gap between where everyone is looking and where the money is actually being lost is the whole story today. Because once you understand why the drop is on the Gulf and not in Miami, you understand the single force that decides which Florida towns fall and which ones hold, and it is not the one the headlines keep blaming. This is not a forecast about someday. These are the 9 Gulf Coast towns where prices are falling fastest right now, counted down with the receipts behind everyone. Let me show you the coast nobody is watching. Let me clear up the biggest misunderstanding first, because the panic word gets thrown around and it is doing real damage to how people read this market. Florida is not falling apart as one single thing. Florida has split cleanly in 2. On one side, you have South Florida and the luxury tier, and they are holding up. Miami is actually the single strongest major metro in the state, forecast to rise about 1% this year, while nearly everywhere else softens. High-end international waterfront trophy property is simply not where the pain is. On the other side, you have the Gulf Coast mid-market, the $300,000 and $400,000 homes an hour or 2 south of Tampa. And that is where prices are genuinely falling, and falling hard. So the villain today is not the sticker price. The villain is carrying cost. It is what it costs to keep one of these homes after you buy it, the insurance, the property taxes, and on the coast especially, the condo and homeowner association fees. A senior economist at Realtor.com pointed straight at it, naming rising insurance and property taxes as the pressure pulling these specific markets down. Agents on the ground describe the exact same thing. Buyers love the price on the Gulf Coast right now. Then they get the insurance quote and the association budget. They do the real math on what the place costs every single month, and they walk away. The price came down to meet them, and the cost to own rose up to chase them off. And nowhere in Florida is that squeeze tighter than the Gulf Coast, for one blunt reason. This is the coast that actually took the hurricanes. One more thing before we count, because it will save you in the comments. Watch out for the median. When you hear that a town's median price barely moved, that does not mean homes held their value. When cheaper homes make up more of the sales, the median can sit perfectly still, while nearly every individual house quietly loses ground underneath it. The number that tells the truth is price per square foot, and on the Gulf Coast, it is falling even in the towns where the median looks calm. Keep that in your back pocket. Now let us count them down from 9 to 1. Number 9 is Bradenton up in Manatee County at the northern end of the Gulf correction, and Bradenton is the perfect place to start because it is the exact trap I just warned you about. Look at the median and you would swear nothing is wrong. Redfin puts the median sale price around $320,000, essentially flat over the past year. Case closed, right? Now look one line down. the price per square foot in Bradenton is down about 13% year over year. That is the tell. The typical home is not holding its value at all. It is only that cheaper, smaller homes are making up more of the sales and propping the median up like a crutch. Houses are still moving, a little faster than last year even, but sellers are quietly accepting far less per square foot than they would have 12 months ago. Bradenton is not the steepest drop on this list. It is the sneakiest, and it is why you can never trust a headline median in a shifting market. Number 8 is Sarasota itself, the anchor of the whole region and the name stamped on the metro. Sarasota has spent 15 years as the crown jewel of the Gulf, the cultural, beachy, upscale answer to the East Coast, and it is still genuinely lovely. But the single-family market here has cooled to a median around $475,000, down on the year, with homes sitting noticeably longer and inventory climbing. And the metro that carries Sarasota's name, the one Realtor.com labels Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton, is forecast to be the second worst performing housing market in the entire country this year. Sarasota is the pretty face on a region that is quietly leading the nation in price declines, and that contrast is exactly why so many sellers here are still in flat denial about their number. Walk into an open house in Sarasota today and the agent will still talk like it is 2022, while the listing 3 doors down has already cut its price twice. Number 7 is Venice, just south of Sarasota, and Venice captures both the correction and the confusion in a single snapshot. On Redfin's zip-level data, the median sale price recently came in around $368,000, down about 12% from a year earlier. But at the very same time, the number of homes actually changing hands jumped by more than half. Read that slowly: more sales, lower prices. That is not a market that dried up and died. That is a market that finally found the price where buyers are willing to show up. And that price is well below where sellers started. Venice has a gorgeous island core where trophy homes still command a real premium, but the everyday mainland market, the villas and the mid-range single-family homes, is where that 12% lives. It is the mid-market bleed in one town. Number 6 is Marco Island down in Collier County, and Marco is where this story gets genuinely interesting, because on paper this is a wealthy place, and wealthy places are supposed to be immune. They are not, and the reason is the thing eating the entire Gulf condo market alive. After the building tragedy in Surfside a few years back, Florida passed strict new laws forcing condo associations to inspect their aging buildings and fully fund their reserves. That was overdue and correct. It was also enormously expensive. Associations up and down the Gulf hit their owners with special assessments running into the tens of thousands of dollars each, and monthly fees jumped to match. On an island like Marco, packed with older coastal condos that turned a dream retirement unit into a monthly obligation nobody wanted to inherit. Listings piled up, buyers backed away, and prices followed them down. The building did not lose its value. The bill to keep the building standing is what did the damage. Number 5 is Naples, and Naples comes with the single most shocking number on this entire list. So let me give it to you straight and then tell you what it actually means. On the Florida Realtors data, the Naples area median sale price fell about 19% year over year, down to roughly $768,000, with closed sales down around 15% on top of that. 19%. That is the biggest raw percentage drop of any town we are covering today. So why on earth is Naples not number 1? Because that headline number is doing something sneaky, and I promised you the honest version. Naples is a luxury market, and that giant drop is being driven mostly by the same condo mess that hammered Marco, plus a shift in which homes are actually selling. The trophy waterfront estates, the ones that define Naples, are largely holding their value just fine. It is the condos in the mid-tier that fell out and dragged the average down with them. So Naples has the scariest number and the most misleading one at the very same time. The luxury is fine, the middle dropped through the floor. Hold on to that, because it is the whole thesis of this video wearing a very expensive coat. And if that one distinction, the luxury holding while the middle falls, is the kind of thing you wish more housing videos would just say plainly, do me a quick favor and tap the like button. It genuinely helps this honest version outrun the fear headlines, and that is the only reason a video like this gets made at all. Number 4 is Port Charlotte, and now we are entering the 2 hardest hit counties on the whole Gulf. Port Charlotte sits in Charlotte County, a sprawling grid of canal homes and modest single-family houses that boomed enormously during the pandemic and has been giving it all back ever since. This is working and middle-class Gulf Florida, not a luxury enclave, which is precisely why the carrying cost squeeze lands so brutally here. There is no trophy premium to cushion the fall. When the insurance on a canal home doubles and the monthly math simply stops working, there is nothing left holding the price up. Homes here now sit on the market for around 11 weeks, well above where they used to, and sellers are routinely taking offers below their asking price just to escape. Port Charlotte is the sound of the pandemic boom running backward in slow motion. Number 3 is Punta Gorda, the seat of that same Charlotte County, and this one has the hardest receipts on the list to back up its ranking. The national data firms that score which housing markets are most at risk of falling further have repeatedly placed Charlotte County at or very near the top of the entire country, not the state, the country. The Florida Realtors data had the Punta Gorda area down roughly 14.5% year over year at one point, among the steepest in all of Florida, and Redfin's price per square foot here is down about 9%, even where the headline median gets muddied by that mix shift. Punta Gorda took direct, repeated hurricane damage in recent years, and that is not an abstraction. It shows up as some of the highest insurance and reinsurance costs anywhere on the coast, and it shows up as buyers flatly demanding a discount for the risk of buying in a place the storms keep finding. Beautiful waterfront town. Brutal cost to insure. That combination is the entire correction in miniature. And here's the question I want you holding as we reach the top 2, because the answer to it is the entire point of this video. Every single town on this list is getting cheaper to buy and more expensive to keep at the exact same time. So which of those 2 numbers wins? Stay with me, because the last 2 towns answer it completely. Number 2 is Northport. And Northport earns its spot with a national title that nobody wants to hold. Realtor.com's forecast for this year names the Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton area the second worst performing housing market in the entire United States, with prices projected to fall about 8.9% on top of the drops that have already landed. And that already landed part is the real story. Northport was farmland and affordable new construction that got discovered during the pandemic and shot up in price by staggering amounts as remote workers and retirees poured in looking for the last affordable piece of the Gulf. Then the tide went out. Measured against its recent peak just a few years ago, the typical home here is down around 20%. This was the town sold to everyone as the smart, affordable Gulf alternative, the place you could still get in before you got priced out. The people who believed that story at the very top are the ones holding the losses today. Northport is what happens when a boom town simply runs out of boom, and this, right here, the gap between the town that looks like a deal and the town that actually is one, is the entire reason the Florida Buy and Avoid list for 2026 exists. It sorts 40 Florida towns, 20 to buy and 20 to avoid, in one place, weighing the carrying cost and the storm risk that never once show up on the listing. The link is sitting in the description right below this video. If this is how you want to judge every Florida town before you ever wire a deposit, that is where the full map lives. And that brings us to number 1, the town that has quietly become the single most cited example of the whole 2026 correction in the entire country. Cape Coral. If there is a ground zero, this is it, and the numbers are relentless. Adam, which tracks actual closing prices, found the Cape Coral and Fort Myers area down about 9% over a single quarter to a median near $341,000, the steepest drop of any large metro in the nation. Zillow's typical value for the area is down around 10% on the year, and Realtor.com's forecast says it is nowhere near finished, projecting Cape Coral to fall another 10.2% this year, the single worst forecast of any market in the country. There is now more than 6 months of homes for sale here, in a market where 3 months is normal, which means buyers hold all the leverage and sellers keep chasing the price down the stairs. So why Cape Coral above everywhere else? Because it is the purest, clearest version of the entire story. It is a city built on canal homes, tens of thousands of them, and every single one of those homes is a maximum insurance risk, exposed to wind and water on a finger of land that took a direct catastrophic hurricane hit just a few years ago. The pandemic ran prices up by more than half in a blink. Then the storm, the insurance, and the reckoning ran them right back down. There is no luxury tier here to hide behind, no international money propping up a skyline. It is just mile after mile of ordinary homes whose cost to own finally overwhelm their price to buy. Cape Coral is not on the wrong coast by accident. It is the clearest proof in the whole state that in Florida right now, the price on the sign was never the thing that actually mattered. Now, before you take all of this and go tell everyone that Florida is finished, hear the caveat, because it is the entire difference between understanding this market and getting it dangerously wrong. Everything you just heard is a Gulf Coast mid-market story. It is not the whole state, and it is not even close to most of the state. On the very same data, Miami is forecast to rise this year, move inland, and the picture flips completely over. Places like Gainesville and Ocala have been posting gains while the Gulf falls. The towns quietly hitting brand new record highs in Florida this year are almost all inland, far from any saltwater, in the very counties this coastal correction never even reaches. So there is no statewide anything. There is a split. One Florida out on the exposed Gulf is repricing hard and fast around the true cost of owning near the water. Another Florida, inland and up in the luxury tier, is holding steady or climbing. Anyone selling you one simple story about the entire state is selling you a headline, not the actual map. So what do you do with all of this? You stop reading the price and start reading the cost. If you are shopping the Gulf Coast right now, and there are real bargains genuinely starting to appear, the falling sticker price is not the number that decides your life. Before you let yourself fall for any of these 9 towns, get the real insurance quote for that exact address. Pull the condo or association budget and read it line by line and add every bit of it onto the mortgage. Do that full math, and roughly half of these apparent deals stop looking like deals at all, while a few of them turn out to be the genuine opportunity of the decade. And that is the part almost nobody says out loud. A market falling for the right reason, too much inventory, and buyers with leverage is where fortunes get made by the people who show up while everyone else is scared. A market falling for the wrong reason, where the cost to own keeps climbing no matter how low the price goes, is a trap dressed up as a discount. The 9 towns you just heard are a mix of both, and the only way to tell them apart is to run the carrying cost yourself. The correction is completely real. It is simply not evenly distributed, and it is not random. It is tracking one single thing, the cost to keep the house. So here is my question for you, and I do read these. If you are watching one of these 9 Gulf Coast towns, tell me in the comments which one and what you are actually seeing on the ground. The price cuts, the insurance quotes, the listings that just will not move. I want the view from the street, not the headline. And if you found this useful, the video you want next is the one on exactly where in Florida insurance still comes in cheap. Because that single cost is quietly drawing the line between the towns that are falling and the ones setting records, and it maps almost perfectly onto everything you just watched. Go watch that one next. And subscribe to Florida Pulse, because I track this split every single month, county by county, and I will show you where it moves next long before the national headlines ever catch up. We will see you in the next one.